So what is this new law that's affecting condo owners in Ocean City, Maryland, and costing them thousands of dollars? So that's not true 100%, but then again, it kind of is. So in this video, I'm gonna cover the HB 107, what it's all about, what it is, what's the requirements, and what I've seen is, helping sellers and buyers and what you would want to know. Especially if you're selling or if you're looking to invest, in the area here in coastal Maryland. So what's going on, everybody? This is Rich, your coastal Maryland and Delaware realtor. I appreciate you stopping by. If you're new to the channel, make sure that you subscribe, as you don't want to miss any of the content that I come out with every week. If you need to reach out, contact information is going to be down below in the description. Love it when people reach out. Never too busy to talk, but without further ado, let's hop into this video. All right, guys, so here we are. I just want to start off with an explanation of what the HB 107 bill is for Maryland. And, really, it's a physical inspection of the building and the premises. And it's also an audit / projection of the financials of the community or condo building. They're going to take a look at everything that's there now, like your roof, how old is the roof, and anything structural. A lot of condos need to be waterproof / painted, caulked, to make sure that preserves to prevent like any cracking in the concrete. The same thing with the parking lot, that needs to be upkept. Any pool area, the pool decks, anything like that is going to be inspected and say, hey, the roof is only 5 years old right now, and it's a 30-year roof, so we got to project out in 25 years of what that's going to cost and what everybody needs to be putting away at this time each year to make sure that it's covered and can be replaced when it needs to be. So it protects everybody's investment, and they say it protects their condo unit because everybody is invested in this one property, and it prevents any safety issues too. So that's the big thing with that. So when they passed this, actually PG County and Montgomery County had this law in place a little ways back, but once that building fell in Florida, they initiate this all over Maryland, also Delaware too, which a lot of people don't know that. But there's a lot more concentration of condos in Ocean City, so I think that's getting most of your attention. So once they had this, it was due to have this done October 1st. That has already passed, was supposed to be the deadline. I haven't found anything anywhere where how they will enforce that, but I'm sure if it's maybe reported to the right organization, I guess they probably could impose fines, maybe shut down the property. But I haven't read anything or heard anything like that. Of course, this is still fairly new, but just helping buyers and sellers. This is the big topic. And of course, it's always when you're looking for like a condo to invest or sell, it's good to take a look at their resale packet, which includes all the financials, because, lenders, they want to see, association putting away at least 10% of their total reserve or total condo assessment fees, the condo fee that they collect every month, into the reserves. It's always been that way on that end. Either way, but this is Miller Dotson's website. This is one company that I've seen on a lot of these reserve studies, and I've got a sample one that we're going to go through, that I'm going to go through with you, and just check it out so you can get an idea of what that looks like. And they mention here that the bill was enabled to include associations to meet their legal, fiduciary, and professional requirements. It will also protect, preserve, and enhance the community's property value, provide a plan to replace for major common items, and minimize the need for special assessments. And that's a big thing here too, is the number one surprise, or what you would be looking for when you're investing, is there any special assessments coming up in the building? Because that means you'll be walking into maybe extra fees above and beyond what that normal condo fee is. Or if the condo fee is at $300 per month, it may, by the time that you take ownership, maybe it's going to be $380 per month, or $400 per month. And that's always good to know, obviously, especially if you're, looking to maybe do some rentals, and you're calculating your numbers, your return on investment, that all plays in the part of what you may actually purchase and move forward on. One thing that they do mention on here is more so if you're looking at like a single family home community with an HOA with maybe a clubhouse, pool area, some things that they have to maintain in the association. This rule applies to that community, if I guess the assets that they have are at least $10,000 or more, which most are if you have like a clubhouse structure, especially a pool area, maybe it has a gym or whatever it may be, but most would fall into that. Of course, this does exclude commercial condominiums. This is only for residential. So let's jump over here. Let's take a look at a sample report. This was actually from the Miller-Dotson website. So this will give you a good idea of what that looks like and how they prepare these and what's all involved. And it's pretty thorough. Like I said, they do a physical inspection, almost like a home inspection you would have on a house that you're purchasing or a condo. But they go above and beyond because this is going to be a whole building, kind of like pictured right here. Let's say like this high rise here. You're going to have your common area when you walk in, like a sitting area. It might have elevators, a front desk. You might have a little side room with some flat screen TVs. Of course, you got the whole parking lot that surrounds it, maybe a parking garage. So all that structural areas will be inspected, the parking lot, the roof areas, anything mechanical that's in the building that might need to be maintained and more so maybe replaced down the road. That's the whole thing, to make sure that association and buildings are putting in the right amount of money every year, so when that roof goes up, there's enough money in the reserves it can be covered, and you don't get a big huge $30,000 special assessment that's kind of thrown on top of somebody. But the big caveat with that right now, though, where if these associations are underfunded and they come in here, and that's why you hear like in the media, some of these buildings having big, huge, like $50,000 assessments, which one building in North Ocean City I know just went through that, the Marylander. And of course, there's different ways how they break that down. They may raise the condo fee, which I believe they did in that building, and plus, each unit owner, it's broken down, spread out through all the owners of the building, that you have to pay X amount to get that maintenance done of whatever fixes that need to be done, and of course, make sure the reserves have enough money too. So I've seen somewhere may have like a $400 a month condo fee, and then on top of that, for the next 3 years, you may have like an extra $2,800 each quarter that unit owner has to pay, which I believe, if I'm doing my numbers right, that would be like a $10,000 that year. So like say $30,000 over 3 years, whatever that may be, or whatever the assessment may be on there. Here it is. So this is the report here. Let me just show you. As you can see, this is a sample report, but this is usually what they look like. It's about 144 pages, but they go through. They take pictures of everything. Of course, that's of the company. But they go like this and kind of point out, almost like a home inspection, if you've ever been through one of those. Which those reports are usually a little bit smaller. Of course, this is for a whole building. But I want to go back up here, and what they usually do with these reports, they usually start off just explaining what they do, how everything, all the information that we kind of went over already. But they kind of start with like an executive summary here of what they found in the property and their recommendations of how they handle it. So like this one here, I'll read this here. It says, this just says the A sample high rise, so you can insert the building's name here. But it says general common elements replacement reserve analysis uses the cash flow method to calculate replacement reserve funding for the periodic replacement of the 30 projected replacements identified in the replacement reserve inventory. So they're saying they found 30 things that need to be fixed or replaced, and all of them might not be the following year. But they'll go through and tell you how long the study is, which they do in here somewhere. Right, yep, down here it says for 40. They'll plan out 40 years at a lot of the common elements on here, and they take in consideration of inflation costs. You know, what's a roof going to cost? They know today it's going to cost X amount of dollars, but what's it going to cost in 40 years from now, or 30 years when it needs to be replaced? That's another thing they take into consideration. So for this example, they're saying that $59,000 is recommended to replace the reserve funding for this year here, 2021, because this report was done in 2020. And what they're suggesting in this here that really shows that the condo fee probably right here, they're just saying $10 per unit or per owner, minimum monthly funding to replace the reserves. So their condo fees probably going to go up, you know, by $10 in this particular example here. So they also state, you know, they look at the reserve funds. What does this association have starting out? This particular one says that their starting balance was $343,000, and annual funding totaling of $54,936. So their condo fee, depending on how many units were in that building, this is how much that they're pulling in per year, and this is what the reserves that they have right now. And I just did one for a seller not long ago, and it was actually a different company, but I've seen a few buy Miller dots in here. But this particular one that I did, it basically said that the reserve fund was weak, but they said it was like 22% funded. They wanted to see at least 70% funded. But I know that particular building, they just did replace the entire roof. It was two buildings. You know, there's like 136 units in that association, that building. So it's a pretty large roof. I know they just replaced that, and it kind of sits on the bay side. So they have this whole, like in between the two buildings, there's a canal that goes in between it. And I know they just probably maybe like 5 years ago, maybe it was sooner than that, but they replaced all the bulkheading all the way around that, which I know that's like $300 a linear foot at least, probably more. And they had all this decking. I believe it used to be wood, but they replaced it with like the Trex or the composite decking. So beautiful decking all around the property. So that looked good. I know they spent a lot of money on that and the roof. So that's probably why that particular one, which, well, I know for a fact because going through the reserve study on that one, you know, at the time they did it this past year, it says it was only 22% funded. I know they were working their way back to fund that up. And their condo fee hadn't changed for a while, a long time too, that I noticed. It was only like $310 per month. So selling that, I know part of that reserve study, they recommended to bump that condo fee up to from $310 to like $390 per month to help with the plan to get this reserve study back, or the reserves back where they needed to be. And they didn't have an actual special assessment or anything at that time. But some buildings will have special assessments, and that's no new news with that. There's been some that I've sold and helped buyers purchase in that had a special assessment going on, and usually that's negotiated up front. You know, a lot of times that falls back on the seller because most buyers don't want to walk into something that needs to be paid. Or you know, if it's like the one building, like the Marylander that I mentioned, that had like that $50,000 special assessment tagged to most unit owners, you know, some just may choose to actually sell just because maybe they're not financially able to do that, or they don't want to. So maybe they'll sell, but from the proceeds, equity and values of condo units and homes are up, so that's a good thing. So a lot of people can have the proceeds to actually cover that, to clear it out, and then somebody new is taking over. And good thing about that is all that work has already been done. Going forward, there'll be less surprises because it's planned for. Because you can see here, like this one, they're planning out 40 years, which is good. Like I said, it makes sure the reserves are healthy and there's less surprises down the road, and they have a safe building, and it protects everybody's investment too who owns in that building. But furthermore, if you just go through here, it kind of shows this is showing like that the study year there, then the study period that I already mentioned, 40 years on this one, their starting balance. This is the type of service they did. I guess they have different tiers of what kind of inspection and reserve study they do. Some might not have a physical inspection in it, but I know most of these being mandatory by the HB 107, it seems like all the ones I've seen had a physical inspection in there. Over the 40 years, they're projecting that this association is going to need $2.6 million to replace these items, which again, it could be roof, it could be the interior common areas like the flooring, like tile, carpet, things that would wear out. Parking lot needs to be resealed or re-asphalted maybe. Parking garage, maybe some structural things that needs to be reinforced or redone. That is the main gist of a reserve study when you're looking at it. Always good too is, most properties, if they're professionally managed, you can talk to the property manager who is usually pretty knowledgeable on these things. Like if you have any specific questions, which I know I've spoken with them, if there was something that I wasn't familiar with, or that wasn't making sense, it's good to talk with them, because you can do that. Even like say if you're on the buyer side, it's good to talk directly to that person. Especially if you're going to own a unit in there, you might. It's a good way to start a rapport and a relationship. When you're going to be an owner in that building, regardless. So, kind of leave this off with a couple words of my opinion on this. I think it's a good thing. Like I said, what I've said previously on here, that it makes sure that the property is well maintained and taken care of, and it protects everybody's investment who owns in that building, and keeps it up to date, keeps it nice, raises property values, improvements on it, and I think the number one thing is to keep it safe, make sure nothing happens on that end. And I know right now, if maybe the associations, when people at the board, get together and they vote, property manager says, hey, the roof's been leaking or this or that, we're going to have to replace it. And everybody's like, well, we don't want to spend money, don't raise our condo fees, or we don't want that raised. They vote not to do that. They put it off till next year or the following year. That usually just leads into a bad situation anyway. So this kind of I think pushed everything forward to have it handled, and to do it down the road little by little, and be prepared and plan any expenses out, so rather than having big surprises, which unfortunately some buildings and associations are having some big surprises now, but not all. Like I said, I've helped many different ones, and there's another one in North Ocean City that didn't have any special assessments. Their reserves were actually very, very, very healthy, and their whole reserve study and inspection, it pulled up a couple things, some cracks in the concrete, which normal things like that, but it was all, they had enough money in the reserve funds. I think the only thing that raised their condo fee for coming into 2024 was insurance costs. That unit owner had owned a one-bedroom condo in the building, and the condo fee or insurance actually went up, you by $30. So it wasn't like a huge deal on that one. But all right, so there you have it. Hopefully that broke down just the explanation of what HB 107 is and how that's affecting current owners. And of course, if you're looking to buy or sell in the area. If you think that I left anything else or had a specific question, leave it down in the comments below. And I always look at those. I'll definitely reach back out. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any of the content that I come out with every week. And until next time, I'll see you soon.